conditions just so I can say, hey, look, it's not me. It's nothing I'm doing. This is the candy. And it was one of my favorite parts of 2019 prior to COVID. Just seeing everyone's reaction to using candy as a play toy.
Right. So wait, so you basically use household items like, do you use wooden spoons and spatulas and fly swatters and, I don't know what else.
Paint stirrers.
Oh yeah, paint stirrers, yeah.
Paint stirrers. So I also have, you've seen it looks like I don't even know how to explain, like a spider web, not a spider web. It's this thing you use to massage your scalp.
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about.
So I've got that in there. Salad tongs.
What do you use them for? Could I
pinching nipples and clitorises and,
ooh.
Things that are nice and pinchable.
You can squeeze someone's testicles with them too.
There you go. And some of them come with a piece that you slide down to lock them in place.
Yes, I have a set of those. Yeah, for my hot dogs, literally.
Yes. So, and I think what I loved about getting into the pervertibles is because a lot of what I did on KC at Night was geared towards folks who were, say, vanilla or not as experienced in BDSM, or they were kink curious.
Right.
And, are overwhelmed by the play toys. They're overwhelmed by the price. They're overwhelmed by what they've seen people do with them. And pervertibles, it was a place where you didn't have to leave your house. You didn't have to go to a store and talk to someone about these toys and be embarrassed. You could just go into the kitchen, grab some things out of the kitchen, and start experimenting and deciding whether or not this is something that you're into or not into before you start buying, these other items. So it became a thing that was birthed out of doing KC at Night, and I just became obsessed with it because people's reaction to it was, never thought about using rice and on the floor and having someone kneeling on the rice.
Oh yeah, I've done that in plastic bags when I had submissives kneeling in a stockade, a lockable stockade. And I would put bags of uncooked rice under their knees.
There you go. That's not what we're thinking about. Or even with, pulling out the saran wrap and maybe not doing a full mummy, but just enough plastic wrap to restrain a person. You don't have to know how to tie rope. You can just go ahead and use your plastic wrap.
Exactly, because then if you can rip it, right.
There you go. Works just as good. So that was like I'm still very much obsessed with it because it allows me to basically talk to anybody about kink.
About using housewares and Tupperware and spatulas and and paint sticks as a swatch or a twitch, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Exactly. Absolutely. That's funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, so do you identify as like a 50s style like dominant? Are you into that sort of stuff too?
What do you mean exactly?
Because they have like I've seen. Oh, Red, don't bark, my dog. Yeah, my dog is named after a safe word. Her name is Red. So
I love it.
Let me put her down. Hold on a second. Hold on. Shh, Red, stop. Come on. Oop, go ahead, honey. So there's this like a 50s style like where doms dress like. Hey, quiet. Doms dress like 50s styled, and they do like different types of domination with household items rather than expensive equipment.
I probably wouldn't say I dress up 50s style, no.
No, I know you don't. I've met you in person. I'm not saying you per se. I'm saying there's people who have done this before, like a 50s styled household where they have, kind of different clothes and different things, and they're basically, like dominating somebody with household items rather than
the what we
usually use. Right.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely is more my flair. And don't get me wrong, I've got my fair share of traditional toys in that sense, but I do have a special fondness for using a household item.
Right. So now, do you ever take up, like, rolled up newspaper and smack somebody, or, like, use a hairbrush, or, any or pantyhose and that nature too? I guess anything can be used.
Absolutely, anything. What's interesting is when I did the classes, I made a list, and at every class, I asked for suggestions for the list.
Oh,
because as I explained to them, my list is from my point of reference.
Right.
But I have, someone different in every class, and I got different things from every class. I did a workshop in Sex Down South, and I had a woman afterwards, because Sex Down South is here in Atlanta, so afterwards she says, "Are you familiar with the Asian market?" And I forget exactly where it's located, but I was like, "Yes, I am." She's like, "Okay, go there, get this. Like, she just rattled off a bunch of things. But it was from her point of reference, and it made perfectly good sense to me. I had a friend of mine, Mr. Tasagata. She gave me a bunch of chopsticks, because I also, big fan of chopsticks on nipples and rubber bands. And yeah, that's another big favorite of mine. So again, love having other people make suggestions, because it brings up things I may not think of personally, but when they're mentioned, I'm like, oh, that sounds so good. So yeah, I even have suggested, doing sort of a if you remember the TV show, what is it, Let's Make a Deal?
Oh yeah.
Where there's always that moment where they ask, who's got a whatever, and, whether it's in your pocket, your purse, on your costume, whatever the case is. I'm like, that to me is what Pervertibles is all about. It's not, I don't even need you to go running into your kitchen. What do you have on you right now? We can find a use for that right now.
Oh, yeah, so you gotta look in your, like, what do I have on? Let's see, what do I have? I have a scissor.
That might be a little aggressive.
Oh, no, I have a back scratcher, actually, a wooden back scratcher. So that could be used as, like, a caning device.
Exactly.
It could be used as, like, you can, like, use it for CBT if you're into that.
Yeah.
You could use it for sensory play, where you can use to scratch somebody very lightly or hard, depending on their pain tolerance level.
Yeah, right. And then, so with that same item, like what you were just talking about, the sensory, if you say, as I like to say, tenderize an area.
Oh, I say tenderize my meat before I play with it.
And you understand where I'm going?
Oh, absolutely.
So of course, if the pre-tenderized meat is going to feel it one way, whereas tenderized meat is going to feel it a completely different way.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, but you just proved my point. You're looking around and saying, "Oh, here's what's handy, and here's what I can do with it."
Right.
That is the whole point of Pervertible.
Pervertible.
You are literally surrounded by something that could be used as a toy.
Oh, you're right about that. Now, did you coin that Pervertibles term?
No, ma'am. And I'm trying to think of how did I stumble on it. I think I was talking to someone about it, or I lied. In my research about toys, that's where I found the word. And
that's pretty funny, Pervertible.
Yeah, and as I dug into it, I was like, ooh, yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That poor kitchen, that poor fork that I just had dinner with, I am now going to pervert that into a toy. And it just, it all made sense.
Wow. Well, that's like sometimes Cupcake will say to me, "Hey, mistress, are you going to keep that like really big glass bottle on the table?" And I'm like, why? And she's like, well, maybe I could use it as a new, like maybe I can fist myself with the bottle. Like,
see?
So if you have a long neck Corona bottle, that usually works pretty good.
and there you go. Once again, proving the fact that we're all looking at things. We just didn't realize
that you can put it somewhere. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, does that go for like food items too?
Absolutely.
For those people that use like kibasi's and bratwurst and knockwurst and, put them in a condom and use them as a sex toy type of thing. I usually just hear the things people have told me. Oh my God.
Yeah. Absolutely. Food is most definitely included in the pervertibles category. Of course, insertables are better. You gotta be careful with that, because I like the fact that you mentioned, condom.
Right.
I don't care how much you clean food, you do not want to risk getting any kind of bacteria.
Oh, absolutely,
or
yeah.
Whatever.
Right.
So, yes, please, by all means, wrap your toy and your veggies.
Yeah, you definitely want to put a condom on an ear of corn, right?
Yeah.
So, because what happens is, with the friction, I had said this to someone once, I said, friction, you might just make your own fucking popcorn if you're going to be doing that so goddamn fast. You're going to be buttering your own fucking popcorn kernels in the process.
You just never know. It certainly does get hot, so.
But think about it. I used to have this fella, probably about, 25 years ago, who contacted me looking for a pro-dom session, but it turns out he lived in Kansas. So I never got to see him in person, but he used to email me photos of himself. He was like what was he? He was like a farmer or something. He lived in like Utah in like farm country. And he was a cross-dresser. His wife had no clue. He would go into the, cornfields, and he would put on like slutty red lipstick and high heels and take photos of himself in the cornfields. Then after a while, he was then using vegetables that he grew in his garden, and he was putting them like up his ass and like taking photos and sending them to me.
Wow.
So I guess he was using like really thin, long cucumbers and like eggplants and zucchinis and like all corn, and then he was doing like all sorts of other stuff. And I think I might have even called him like the Chiquita banana lady, because he used to put all kinds of vegetables like up his ass, this guy.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't even know if he's still alive, because he was kind of old back then. Okay. So like he's probably long gone. But the thing is, it's hilarious. Like, and I would show them to my dom friends, and they were like, "Oh my God, that's fucking hilarious." I never thought to use like a zucchini or an eggplant. Like, I guess when you live in like the sticks, is what I would say.
Right.
You kind of you do.
You do what you have to, but again, this is what I said about the pervertibles. He probably would have never in his life, tried to go to a toy store, and probably where he lived, they didn't even have toy stores.
Yeah,
depending upon
not.
how long ago this was. You couldn't buy anything online.
Right.
So what do? You use what's readily available.
I know. I think he said he used to buy all of his cross-dressing clothes at the thrift store in town. And they really, at the time, like I said, this was 25 years ago in Utah. I mean, Utah is like a polygamy state, but I don't know if they sell sex toys there.
Probably not, because, they're Mormon,
Right.
We can have many wives, but we're not having kinky sex.
Exactly. So, so he used to buy all of his clothes at thrift stores, and then I guess when, his mother or grandmother died, he then inherited those clothes too. So he was kind of like, I don't know, I guess he had all different looks. He used to look like an old lady. He used to look like a middle-aged woman, like all different clothes.
Wow.
But he always had like old-fashioned, like garter on.